Good morning. We are grateful to gather this morning, some of us online and some of us in person, as the Unitarian Universalist Society for a time of music, inspirational words, reflection, and connection. I'm Peggy Garrigus, Director of Congregational and Community Engagement for the Unitarian Universalist Society, and I will also be your Zoom host for this morning. If you're visiting our service today, welcome. We're glad to have you here. We hope you find our service meaningful today. If you're attending the service in person, it will help a lot with our AV needs if you either turn off your cell phone or put it both in airplane mode and on silent so that it will not either be joining our UUS Wi-Fi network or interrupting the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't all believe the same things, but we turn to 6 sources for our living tradition. One of those sources is spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Today, we especially reflect on that source as we celebrate the winter solstice and images of darkness and light. And now over to Reverend Diana Smith, our minister, for our call together.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Diana Smith, the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society, and it is so good to be with you this morning. In these times of change, it is so important to be together, to come together as a spiritual community, to gain the sustenance that we each and all need, and to help nourish each other. As members of a covenantal faith that expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and to support each other, it is good to come together and to affirm that even when we cannot yet all be together in body, this congregation remains strong and connected. To affirm that we have faith and hope in this congregation and in each other, and in the ways that we continue to grow together during the challenges of life. And to affirm that wherever any of us is on our life's journey, whether we come to worship with joy in our hearts, weighted with burdens, in need of rest, or searching for people to engage in the struggle with us, we are glad, and this congregation is glad that we are here. Today, we are celebrating the wonders of winter solstice and this changing season that invites us to centering, dreaming, and wondering. And so, in the words of the Reverend Marta Valentin, be still with me and enter into the crescent fold of my arm as I gather you into this time and space. Wind your thoughts like a river toward the center of who we are this morning as one body and out among others in the world. Be still with me and enter into this celebration of resilience and resurrection, for we are vessels eternally rising out of the water alive with a purpose and strength unknown to us. Be still with me and enter quietly into this place of unbound love and gratitude. And so as we begin our service, we will join in singing hymn number 49, Stillness Reigns. The music is a 14th century German tune. The harmony is by a well-known, much beloved Unitarian Universalist music director of many years, who served at my internship congregation, First Church Boston, for decades. If you're at, his name was Ralph Vaughan Williams, by the way. If you're at UUS, please sing softly into your mask, hum, or move your hands or your body with the music. You can rise in body or in spirit as you are comfortable. And if you're at home, please feel free to sing as loudly as you would like.
Stillness reigns, the winds are sleeping, all the world is bent on keeping tryst with night, whose wings are sweeping from the west each ray of light. Dusk a soft and silken cover over all is seen to hover, in its readiness to cover all the drowsy world good night. Those who labored long untiring, ere this time of rest desiring, strength renewed through sweet retiring, welcome thoughts of peaceful night. And through spaces real or seeming, find the Eden of their dreaming. Soar to starry ways redeeming, hours of toil and pain. Good night.
As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety, to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this is we covenant, with life and love. Please feel free to use the chat to let us know your chalice is lit. Each week, when we light a candle for justice and healing, we hold space for our understanding of interdependence, that our liberation is bound up with every other person's liberation, and our feelings of rage and heartbreak over the ongoing pandemics of illness and racism, the devastation of climate chaos, and the waves of trauma washing over our world. We light this candle to help us hold space together for processing what is happening in our lives and in our world, and to remind ourselves that together we are creating resilience and hope. We light this candle that we may not be numbed or lost to injustice, devastation, illness, and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love together to continue engaging with the struggles for liberation, justice, and healing. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of those who are continuing to grieve the losses from severe weather across Midwestern and Southern states, as well as in the Philippines. After I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts, our bodies, or perhaps to lift up prayers. First reading is In Celebration of the Winter Solstice by Stephanie Noble. Do not be afraid of the darkness. Dark is rich, fertile earth that cradles the seed, nourishing growth. Dark is the soft night that cradles us to rest. Only in darkness can stars shine across the vastness of space. Only in darkness is the moon's dance so clear. There is mystery woven in the dark, quiet hours. There is magic in the darkness. Do not be afraid. We are born of this magic. It fills our dreams that root, unravel, and reweave themselves in the shelter of the deep, dark night. The dark has its own hue, its own resonance, its own breath. It fills our soul, not with despair, but with promise. Dark is the gestation of our deep and knowing self. Dark is the cave where we rest and renew our soul. We are born of the darkness, and each night we return to the deep, moist womb of our beginnings. Do not be afraid of the darkness, for in the depth of that very darkness comes a first glimpse of our own light, the pure inner light of love and knowing. As it glows and grows, the darkness recedes. As we shed our light, we shed our fear and revel in the wonder of all that is revealed. So do not rush the coming of the sun. Do not crave the lengthening of the day. Celebrate the darkness, here and now, a time of richness, a time of joy.
By Starhawk and Diane Baker and Ann Hill. Circle round, and I'll tell you a story about when the sun was born again. It was the middle of winter, and the sun had grown very old. All year long, the sun had worked very hard, rising and setting day after day. All year long, the sun had fed everybody on earth, shining and shining, giving energy to the trees and the flowers and the grasses so they could grow and feed the animals and birds and insects and people. All year, the sun's gravity held tight to the spinning ball of the earth and the twirling ball of the moon, and the 8 other planets, and Pluto too, as they traveled around and around and around until the poor sun was dizzy watching it all. Now the poor, tired sun could barely make it up in the morning, and after a very short time, needed to sleep again. So the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer until the day was so short it was hardly worth getting up for. And night felt sorry for the sun. "Come to my arms and rest, child," she said. "After all, I am your mother. You were born out of my darkness billions of years ago, and you will return to me when all things end. Let me cradle you now as I shelter every galaxy and star in the universe." So night wrapped her great arms around the sun, and the night was very long indeed. "Why does the dark go on so long?" asked the children all over the earth. "Won't the sun ever come back again?" "The sun is very tired," the old one said. "But maybe if you children say thank you for all of the things that the sun does for us, the light may return in the morning." And so the children sang songs to the sun. They thought about all of the things that the sun gives to them. And right now, if you are joining us online, type some of the things about the sun that you are thankful for. And if you are in the sanctuary and would like to share something that you are thankful for because of the sun, please share it with us. Thank you. Thank you for growing the lettuces and the corn and the rice and the wheat, they said. Thank you for growing the trees of the forests and the seaweeds of the ocean and the krill that feeds the whales. Thank you for stirring the air and making winds that bring the rain. Every time a child said thank you, the sun began to feel a little warmer, a little brighter. Wrapped safely in the arms of night, the sun grew younger and younger. At last, the children had to go to bed. "We will stay up and wait for the sun to rise again," the old one said. "Can't we stay up too?" the children asked. "You can try, but you will get too sleepy," the old one said. "But you can each light a candle, because all fire is a spark of the sun's fire. Put your candle in a very safe place and let it keep vigil for you as you sleep and dream of sunrise." So the children lit their candles and put them in very safe places, and each flame was a little spark of the sun's fire. And the sun peeped out from between the arms of night and saw all the little fires and began to feel warmer and brighter and younger still. Early in the morning, the old ones woke the children. Together, they climbed a high hill and faced the east, the direction of sunrise. They sang songs to the sun and ran around trying to keep warm. They waited and waited to see what the dawn would bring. The sky began to turn from black to indigo to blue. Slowly, the sky grew light. A golden glow crept over the horizon. Night opened her great arms, and in a burst of lightness, the sun appeared, new and strong. For in the long night, the sun had rested well and grown young from the songs and the thanks of the children, young as a brand new baby, born out of night once more. And everybody cheered, and the children jumped up and down. "The sun has returned. The sun is reborn," the people cried. And they danced and sang to celebrate the birth of a new day, and then went out to breakfast.
Soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will. Ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will see Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me.
Space together on one of the shortest days and longest nights, I invite you to enter into a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. As we begin, I invite you to move into a comfortable position as you're sitting, perhaps standing, or if you're at home, lying. Notice how your body settles into your chair, into the floor, the ground. Feel the weight of gravity inviting you to settle into it more deeply. Try accepting that invitation, letting yourself relax into it. You may want to close your eyes. Or if you keep your eyes open, let your gaze soften with your eyes relaxing. You may want to take several deep, slow breaths that fill your belly and then your lungs, exhaling slowly, sinking more deeply into this space. Noticing what your body is telling you as you settle more deeply into this shared space of stillness. What is the lower part of your body telling you? Can you let it relax a little more? Sinking more deeply into the chair, to the support of the floor, the ground that holds us all. How about your sitting bones? Can you notice gravity inviting them to sink down? Noticing where your back comes into contact with the chair or the floor. Letting it relax into the weight of what supports it. Letting your shoulders relax. You may have tightness in your shoulders or your jawline. Allow them to soften, letting go the tension as you can. Softening your eyes, your forehead. As we breathe together, you may notice a tingling muscle or ticklish skin. Whatever comes to your attention is okay. Simply notice it, acknowledging it in silence. And now notice what you're hearing. Perhaps your own or your companion's breathing. Perhaps the rumble of your body Maybe there are cars or helicopters outside, or blowing wind, or a chirping bird. They are here and part of this space we share. And now that we've noticed what we hear, let's turn our attention inwards. Thoughts may float up. When they do, you can let them float on by, like a cloud in the sky or a leaf floating down a river. Feelings may float up. You don't have to name the feeling or put words to it. Just notice if there's anything coming up with acceptance. And now I invite you to imagine that your body and your mind are filled with darkness and silence, like the dark, deep night in the woods or sitting on the shore of a lake. Notice the peace and restfulness of the stillness, taking comfort in it. Notice that you're safe in this moment. You can simply be here in the darkness, together and connected. Breathing together. In this quiet within, let's notice the healing powers of our bodies and our silence. Within this silence, our blood is flowing. Oxygen is being exchanged. Food and water are being digested and carried as fuel. Tiny cells are restoring damage, renewing ourselves. New life and possibility are being created. Healing is being born. Our minds and our hearts are resting too, in stillness, finding new pathways, new access to creativity and love. New life and possibility are being created. From this darkness arises all the beauty of the world and our ability to perceive and appreciate it. The poetry, the art, the music, the dance. From this darkness arises all our ability to feel compassion, to connect, to feel loving kindness, and move into the acts of connection and generosity that it inspires us to. From this darkness arises our ability to give and receive love. And in this darkness, we are deeply loved, beyond belief, by the source of all, by the universe, by love itself. All this creativity, love, and wonder emerge from this stillness, this quiet. New life and possibility are being created. Love is being born. Together in this darkness, we may notice how, as our body sinks into the chair or the floor, In the darkness of that connection, we are sharing ourselves with the world. The constant, never-ending exchange of the smallest bits of matter and of energy ensure this. In this darkness, mystery and creativity prevail, inviting us to more possibility, joy, wonder, and gratitude. And so let us continue to sit in this wonder of darkness together for 60 seconds of silence. I'll bring us out of this time of meditation with a prayer with a bell, and lead us into our musical meditation. In this time, I invite you to notice what gifts float to you from darkness.
In this time of waiting, sitting quietly as the skies darken and the days grow shorter, when all is outwardly tranquil, while readiness builds and grows within, we sit quietly, waiting, dreaming a dream, and hoping for a miracle. And if the soldiers come to disturb the dream, breaking the tranquility, we will rise up against them, taking back our dream. And the oil, only enough for one night, will burn for 8, and we will be witnesses to the mystery of a miracle. And if the authorities call us for counting, demanding our attendance, but there is no place for us to lie down and rest, we will find fresh straw and gentle animals to create a bedchamber, and we will be witnesses to the mystery of a miracle. And if the ones who believe that only they have the truth come to tell us that we may no longer celebrate the wisdom of the ancients, we will cast a circle so we can dance. The moon will rise, shining her face upon us, and we will be witnesses to the mystery of a miracle. So we will sit quietly as the skies darken, waiting, filled with anticipation, dreaming a dream, hoping for a miracle. And just before the skies gain light, when we are at our most tired, when despair begins to crowd out the hope and the dream, there will be light again. Then all the waiting and all the hoping and all the dreaming will give way to joy.
For all the darkness of this time of year, it's one of my favorites. While the darkness can be quite difficult, and it presents challenges for those of us who are affected by seasonal affective disorder, while it makes waking up harder and makes sitting in front of my full spectrum light for a while each morning all the more necessary, I love how it invites us inward, how it invites us to reflect and deepen. That's something I've cultivated. Each year, as I turn my mind and my heart and my spirit to the gifts of this time of year, I love it more. I love how in the dawning of the winter, I can wander down to a stretch of prairie, like the one outside these windows, widen my senses, and notice how those seemingly dead grasses are quietly living, resting, healing, building resources for the busy spring to come. How the prairie flower seeds that need cold to sprout and grow in the spring are soaking in the cold and the dark that helps them become what they need to become. Without it, they wouldn't be. How I can imagine what's happening under the surface, taking my mind down through the roots to notice the tiny life still truly alive in the soil, resting, decaying, restoring, readying all for the renewed busyness of the springtime. But not yet, not yet. For now is a crucial time to rest, to let what was become food for what is to come, to make space for change. The darkness of the outside world invites me to invest in spending time with people and beings I love, that we love. Not to simply be with them mindlessly or grumpily. Goodness knows there's enough possibility for that. But to truly invest our time and our energy. Even this year, as the pandemic stretches on, and we try to wrap our minds and hearts around the Omicron variant, this invitation still exists. And the darkness invites us to practice gratitude and enrich our spirits. It encourages us to shore up our energy. It invites us to notice in new ways what it is that we and our communities need. To notice justice in new yet old ways. The different impact of darkness and cold depending on how our health, our housing status, the kind of winter gear we have access to, and how much we can heat our homes all add up. And so this time of year invites us into responding to this call to care for each other. Now, I haven't always loved this season the way I do now. Loving it is something that I've grown into more, something that has flourished as I've invested my time and energy into understanding and cultivating the gifts of this season, the gifts of darkness, the gifts of light. The gifts of darkness embracing and holding us, inviting us to reflect, to store up our energy, to go deep, to rest. That invite us to find the painful places in our spirits, in our lives, in our world, to come into contact with them and hold them tenderly, to understand them and perhaps even befriend them, something that is often harder to do in the bright light. The gifts of darkness that invite us to lie fallow and come into contact and relationship with the deepest mysteries within us and between us, that invite us to invest in the gifts of the Spirit so we can deepen our roots and flourish. And the gifts of connection of this season. There is great wisdom in the many communities and religious traditions that have created festivals of light in the darker months of the year. In these times, we seek light not only for safety or to resist or push away the dark. We seek light in festivals of light for the way that they call us into understanding the vibrancy of the dark, for the ways that they help us find community, connection, compassion, love, and courage. Without both interrelating, we wouldn't have the gifts of this season. The gifts of the season would change, and I suspect our understanding of the gifts of the dark might change. Last night on the grounds of UUS, and over the coming nights in individual homes or in stretches of woods, people celebrated and will celebrate the solstice. As we do this in darkness, yet still with the light of candles, the moon so bright that it lit our way, or flashlights, we feel our spirits at peace and glowing. We feel the beauty of embracing darkness and the stirring of love and light in the midst of it and nourished by it. In the midst of a difficult season and a difficult time, we need this opportunity to find our own meaning at this still point in the turning of the world in this season of passage. It is not only dark outside. Not all the people who live in this area have solid roofs and walls and warm dwellings. Not all people are safe in body or in spirit. We have seen, even in this past week, so much evidence of climate chaos. There are people of color across this country whose well-being, safety, and even lives are at risk. There are people of all ages in detention camps. There are asylum seekers and refugees seeking safety in this country and in others who are not finding welcome. And there are many pains in the lives of those gathered here. There are so many reasons to fear and to grieve. It can be easy to get stuck in those in this season where there's so much darkness. And yet this season invites us and sometimes challenges us to understand the darkness differently. It invites us to understand the darkness in new ways, to allow it to nourish us, that we may find new healing, new strength, new love, new courage, new power. For those are within us. They are within us even if they are hidden for a while, even if they need this time to renew, to recharge, to let the cold and the dark sink in so that something new may emerge. They're within us, even if they're hidden for a while. They're within us just waiting for us to uncover them, to come back into relationship with them, so that we, healing, strong, loving, courageous, powerful, we can transform the world. May you carry this gift of this time of darkness with you into the lightening of the world. So may it be. Blessed be. Amen.
How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner agency this month is the Iowa City Free Dental Clinic. The Free Dental Clinic's mission is to provide the widest access to dental services possible to people in the Iowa City and surrounding community who would not otherwise have access to care. Volunteer dentists, dental students, dental hygienists, and dental hygiene students provide services to hundreds of patients each year, many of whom are children. On the screen, you will see instructions for how to give online, or you may take this time to write a check and address an envelope to US to be put in the mail. If you're attending this service here in the sanctuary, you can give online, or there is a basket for checks in the atrium. The usher can help you find it after the service. You may assist our community partner, contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses, or contribute towards your pledge to our society. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. Nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence is part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Today at 11:15, we'll have our congregational meeting. Immediately after the service, we will have time for a brief time to join in conversation and community. If you're online, there will be brief breakout groups, and if you're in the sanctuary, there will be a brief time for fellowship in the fellowship hall where you can make an ornament. Now to close our service today, we will sing hymn number 301, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky. If you're at UUS, please sing softly into your mask, hum or move with the music. If you're at home, please feel free to sing as loudly as you would like.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores where spirits fly, over the ocean, over the land, our faith, our quest to understand. Touch the earth, reach the sky, children ask the reasons why, in our lives the answers show, and by our love they learn and grow. Touch the earth, reach the sky, all are born and all shall die, life's the time left in between, follow a star to build a dream. Touch the earth, reach the sky, hug the laughter, feel the cry. May we see where we can give, for this is what it means to touch the earth, reach the sky, soar with courage ever high, spirits joining as we fly, to touch the earth, to reach the sky.
Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All of these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again.
I got it. And so, as you go out into the world this week, after our congregational meeting, of course, as you go out into the world this week, especially in these next few days, as the world continues to darken, may you find some stillness, some rest and some peace. May you notice what gifts this time of year is bringing to you. May you share those with others, letting them know how darkness is enriching your life and all of our lives. Go in peace, courage, justice, and love, living love ever more fully and fiercely into this world. Amen, and blessed, blessed be. And please join in singing with our choral benediction.